Thank you very much, and I want to thank Fitri, Jesse, Leonard, and all the creative culture teams for the invitation. I had not the possibility to come very early in the morning. Then I will hope that there's a replay. It will be a replay, maybe. Oh, yes, I see. Okay, fantastic. Well, because I'm a mom too, then I'm a professor, but I'm a mom, and this weekend was not easy. Then waking up too early was not so easy this morning. Then really happy to be with you. We already had then Fritzi JC at Nice, and there's an invitation to you to come to our beautiful place, because there's things that we are advancing on this also orientations to a more playful education, and then your expertise is super welcome to also to share with our students that, as Fitri was saying, is very similar to the orientation you are doing at UNIMAS. Then I will share my screen. I hope the sound is good and everything is working well. Then I start by, what is our vision on education, and what, of course, there's the disciplinary objectives that we should work with the students and the kids at the school at all educational levels, but there are these transversal competencies that are so important in our education. And from what I heard from the last presentation and the STEAM orientation, this is really into the same orientation you are developing. Even if there's the name 21st century skills, there's just one of these skills that is new, is computational thinking. All the others are skills that we humans have from the very beginning of our evolution as civilization. Then as humans, we are creative. We have the power to cooperate. We have the possibility to problem solve. And even if you follow Karl Popper, he says, life is just problem solving, one problem and then another and then another and then another. Then life is like problem solving at all levels and at all moments. Then, because we will face many problems, let's learn to solve these problems in a creative way, in a positive way, also with the different stakeholders and the different partners and our different teammates in these situations. And there's this new thing of computational thinking that is not just digital skills, but is about being able to solve problems with computer science concepts or procedures. Then this is important because it's about not being just a consumer of technology, but it's about creating things with technology, as Creative Cultures project and orientation is doing, is overcoming a passive way of using technologies in order to empower kids, educators, communities in being creative actors of the use of technologies. Okay, and then you will say, oh, you have an accent, and this is not a French accent if you know French. Then I'm from Barcelona, then but I'm someone who loves travels a lot, and then I had an opportunity to work in Canada in Université Laval. Then I was joining there the team at the Faculty of Education, and then there was a big challenge of creating a new educational lab in Nice. Then back to Europe for creating this new lab. And since 5 years, I'm here in Nice, then with colleagues in educational science, but we are working too with colleagues in computer science, user experience, and other fields that are related to game-based learning and creative problem solving. But some photos before the masks, I find more beautiful before the mask than after the masks. Okay. Okay. First thing I want to know in the discussion, what are your the games you are playing? Are you still playing with bricks, mechanos, electronics, city models, treehouse? Okay. In the past, or or just now, we are not seeing you and your hands, except if you are turning on your camera. But in any case, you can put on the discussion what are the kind of games you are playing as an adult. I would love to have some answers. Or you are maybe very serious teachers that are not longer having time to play. Okay, it's Lego. Okay, Lego here. Okay, Lego is winning. Okay, more and more Legos. Excellent. Electronics a little. Wait, Alex. And Monopoly, Minecraft. Excellent. Super. Then I will show you what I love to play. And we are on modular robotics for a while, because we are having a lot of fun with that. But also because before we were doing a lot of Lego Mindstorms, Lego We Do, etc. But there's a lot of pieces. Then for doing research, it was a little bit complicated, because we wanted to model, do a computer model of the different possibilities of creating, of solving a certain problem. Then we went to bigger bricks, and then we move with these other ones. Then and Minecraft, Alex, of course. Then this is the cube world, and then we are also on this cube world that is easier to model from a research perspective. Okay, then the things we are playing with on the one side is game design, because we don't have so many resources, and even if we had a lot of millions for do triple A games, still maybe we will not go this direction, because what we consider is important for learning is engage kids and educators in game creation. Then game design is a shared aspect with creative cultures. We are also into creative robotics, not just step-by-step ways of doing, but engaging kids in ill-defined problem solving, in which they should create artifacts and solve a lot of problems during the process. And creative programming as a way also to solve, if possible, real-life problems with the use of different types of languages and programming tools. Then, as you see, we are agnostic in terms of technology. Then what we appreciate and what we nurture in our research action projects is how we can create the conditions for kids and educators to create artifacts and solutions that solve real life problems. We are not just teaching technology, even if this is an objective of creating a positive relation towards technology, engineering, science, etc. But the main objective is to empower citizens to have a critical but also creative way to engage with these different technologies. And this is also related to what Richard Florida from Canada is considering the creative class. And he's saying a long time ago, it was person in that was industry and agriculture and service way of dividing the society. And Richard Florida is showing how our society today can be considered as two classes: the non-creative class, who is just doing jobs that should follow up rules and you execute the rules, and jobs in which you are creative. Okay, then our mission and our objective as educators and as a faculty in the Faculty of Education for helping future teachers to help these kids is to be able for every kid to be to be in the creative class. Okay, maybe one day there will be some jobs that will be automatized. Okay, and then we need to ensure that every kid could be on the creative class and not just on the rule following class, if we follow Richard Florida way of dividing the society. Then we are especially interested in creative collaboration and not just creativity at the individual level. In which, well, this is very important, this is context related. What is creative in a class with 9 years old is not the same what is creativity with undergraduate students. And this is super important that we have a context related and a context orientation way of working in order to make meaningful the way we are proposing these techno-creative activities in the classroom, but also the way we are considering the originality, the value, and the usefulness of the solutions that the persons are creating. Okay, and this is the framework from which we are working when engaging kids and educators in game creation. Then I will share the link and to the presentation with you. But if there's one thing to be considered is that sometimes, despite we as educators, we have the intention to provide a playful and a learning and a learning performance orientation of the playful situations we are providing to the different classes and context. Even if there's these intentions, there's a big challenge on the way we integrate pedagogically. We make this, we orchestrate this in the classroom, but also the way the end player user is player learner is experiencing this in as playful or as something that helps him to learn. Then there's a super complex situation to be designed, to be integrated in the classroom, and to be assessed in terms of learning experience and playful experience. And because of that, the game studies field is still advancing, and we need the collaboration of everyone, then educators, kids with their suggestions and their engagement in participatory game creation. And we need to continue on the advancement of how these approaches can be improved through a more participatory way of doing. Yep. Okay. Then on creativity, there's multiple millions of definitions of creativity. Then I will just want to share the one of Henriksen, Misron, and Fisher. Because this is especially interesting for the way creative cultures is working, and this is considering creativity as the emergence within a group activity, and not just at the individual level. There's for sure individual processes of divergent thinking, convergent thinking, and other aspects that are deliberate or spontaneous in creativity. But there's something very interesting, that is how something emerged in a group, and the consideration of emergence. That means that there's not everything is known in advance. Then this is something important. And the other thing is that how we evaluate that. If creativity is emergent, then how we catch creativity. Then there's still some common points, and for those having the reference of Maui, then we can have a parallel or metaphor. Creative shapes is a creative has different characteristics that takes different forms depending on the context. Okay, but there's still some aspects that are common. Okay, and there are the value of what we are doing, because if there's no value, is maybe could be original, but original sometimes brings no value. Then there's value, there's originality, and there's usefulness, and some authors considers also aesthetics in terms of resource efficiency, but also as aesthetic, as artistic value of the solutions. Then if we want to evaluate creativity, we shall consider how these different characteristics of value, originality, usefulness, and aesthetics means in a certain context. We need to instantiate specifically to what kind of project we are doing to consider what means these characteristics into a certain in a certain context. Okay. Maybe some of you know about these works on how we can assess creativity through divergent thinking tasks. And there's the work of Guilford that is still being used today. He proposed during 2 minutes that everyone gives all the ideas of how we can use a chair. Then we will take some seconds and I will propose everyone on the discussion to write what you can do with a chair. What are all your creative ideas of how we can use a chair? All ideas are welcome, for sure. Excellent. Oh, I love it. As a bookshelf, for sure. And seems like being real, this. To make a tent, yes, this is, kids are loving to do that. Installation RPs, excellent. A bed, for sure. This is, make a tree, yes. Use it as a display, yes. Then when persons are engaged into that, they should combine different contexts, etc. Then with these different ideas, then what Guilford tests do is how many ideas you have during 2 minutes, that this is fluidity, how many different ideas you have, not just all ideas, but really different ideas, then this is flexibility. And there's the third one, this originality. If everyone thinks on a chair for making a bookshelf, maybe this is not, this is less rare within your group and your community, okay? But if a solution is an idea is very rare compared to the group of reference, then we have also the component of creativity. Okay, then there's not just that, is also the socio-cultural factors in creativity that are super important. And then all what we are developing when engaging in creative problem solving is shaped also by socio-cultural factors. When we are working with our colleagues in cognitive neuroscience, for them, we are just brains with processes and inputs and outputs, okay? They are even saying we don't have free will, okay? They are very strong in their consideration of humans. And in our side, we say, yes, we have processes, but there's something that is very human, is that to be in a socio-cultural context, and this is a treasure. And this is a treasure we should maintain and consider in research, is how when doing this creative problem solving, we could consider that, and we can nurture also the social-cultural aspects to promote creativity within the different contexts. Okay, then what happens is when we evaluate that, we have also these challenges of evaluating this automatically or in a human-based approach, and also our colleagues from a more quantitative approaches will say, let's do questionnaires, psychometrically validated questionnaires, and then go advancing that. And then what we did is, okay, let's evaluate creativity in Scratch projects, and let's do through an automatic tool, Dr. Scratch, that is analyzing automatically the code, and let's do in a human way, then engaging teachers in rubrics evaluation, okay? No surprise, we got very different evaluations, because the way creativity could be grasped by automatic algorithms is very narrow compared to what humans, considering socio-cultural aspects, we can value in the solutions. A computer has not this possibility to consider, wow, this is super meaningful for us because you considered the way we should address sustainable development goals, etc. Computers have not this sensitivity. Then computers, for the moment, and from what we have revised, cannot evaluate creativity in the same way as humans do. Okay, then this is a challenge, but this is okay. The humans maybe cannot automate everything, and this is super okay. Okay, then what we wanted to share as a conclusion is that it's not about technology, it's about how we engage persons with technology, then not just considering computers as using something that is already created, but entering a more messy perspective in which humans should help other humans to engage in creative problem solving, and humans engage with other humans to provide feedback and help into formative assessment of this process. And that is something what we are using in our Faculty of Education for helping future teachers to grasp the idea in a very basic way, is that we can be on a passive use of technologies, doing videos or lectures in a video-based way, interactive use of technologies, okay, using things that are just allowing to click onto something. But we can also engage with technology in a creative way, in an individual way, in a team-based way, or in a participatory way, as you're doing in creativity, in a creative cultures project. And even further, we can go even on intergenerational creative programming, because sometimes our society, but kids in one side, adults in others, and elders in other places, then creating intergenerational creative programming approaches is super important. Okay, then this is a beautiful photo of kids creating solutions that are addressing this frog, of course, isn't it? And this is a frog built with the Legos, and the goal was not learning, not just learning how to program this, but it was observing the nature, going outside the classroom, observing frogs, not opening the frogs in the classroom, just observing the frogs, and then creating a model in the classroom to explain to other classes how frogs behave. Okay. Then just on the last side, then for that, we have a big challenge is about combining experience. We have to combine the expertise on user experience, gameplay, storytelling, and learning, and consider that we are on an ongoing process, and we will not have every time all the solutions for everything, but if we engage in a beta process of improvement, we can go into proposing something, and then going further for improvement of this solution. Then thank you very much for your attention, and I will be really happy to discuss with you about any of these aspects or other aspects you are interested on.
All right, thank you so much for that, Margarida. I'm wondering, your last slide, you mentioned the storytelling. How would you suggest that we link storytelling and the user experience?
Yes, and in storytelling, probably you know these universal narratives. The work of Campbell, the hero, the journey of the hero, and other universal narratives are there. And this is, if we consider that our brains are limited, we cannot deal with everything at every time. Then we should consider that narratives are helping us to enter into something that we know what happens next. It's like some movies. You are there looking at the movie and you say, I know already what will happen, okay, because you are in a certain narrative. Then on the one side, narratives in games could help us to engage in a more easy way and focus the attention and our energy in other aspects. For example, if we are on a progression game like such Mario Bros, we already have the narrative. And then if we apply that to a serious game with other objectives, we can already have this narrative that is there. But there's also other ways of using narratives. And I will give the example of a serious game that is a very moving serious game that is Cancer, That Dragon Cancer, that has been built by parents that got their kid got sick with cancer, and then they create a game with the narrative of their journey through the treatment. And in this way, you don't know what will happen, but you are immersed in a process in which you will create an immersion perspective to understand better what the parents and the kid are feeling through this treatment journey. Then I would say narrative is a super powerful tool. And the colleagues working on narrative mechanics, that is something that the last years has been growing, are doing super amazing work onto this field.
I truly believe that like what you said, the storytelling is actually quite powerful to move the imagination. We tested this idea as well when we went to a remote village. Yeah, the place that we went to, there's no electricity, there's no running water. They're just dependent on natural resources, and the children there, we were thinking we came from the we come from the urban area, coming to a rural place. We wanted to teach them how to code, how to learn computational thinking, because everybody else in the city was doing it. So when we brought our lesson, we tried to show Scratch. The kids just stared at us like blank. There's no reaction whatsoever. And then we got an idea. We're like, can we maybe get them to tell us their story? So we took out pieces of drawing sheets and crayon, and we got them to draw, and we got them to tell the story about the village. And from that story, they transferred it into Scratch, and that was how we got them to learn about Scratch. So I think that was quite powerful. I think yeah, both of us saw this, and it was something that we didn't really plan, but when we got there, we thought like, oh, this is actually the thing that make it work. Yeah.
Excellent. Yes, and everyone has a story to tell. Then I think your strategy is just awesome. And there's something we did also with elders, because sometimes they say, oh, the technology is not for me. And then they give them an expertise role and saying, no, you have the knowledge about the neighborhood. You can explain, and then I think in what you're bringing is super interesting, is how also we can first use paper and crayons before going to create the technological solution, instead of directly jumping on technology. And there's a super interesting PhD work in Switzerland by Morgane Chevalier. And what she did was, what happens, the question was, what happens if you don't bring directly the technology, but propose kids to imagine solutions with the paper before that? And then she proposed one part of the kids to directly go to technology, another part of the kids start by working at least 10 minutes with paper. That was totally different. Then I think that even with those who are eager to touch computers, it's important that we force them to do this divergent thinking and this convergent thinking process of creativity, first with paper, and then go on to thinking on yes, how we what kind of technologies we use, because sometimes we can have the choice, and after then yes, creating actually the solution.
Yeah, brilliant. You want to
add? Yeah. Yeah, storytelling is indeed strong. And then I was just thinking, because I was listening to some of the speakers earlier this morning, they actually added music into storytelling, which I find quite different, but it seems to be quite effective. And we met a student who was actually looking at boys sex education for boys, actually sex education for boys. And there are things that they have to learn and know, but they turn it into music. They came up with their own lyrics. And I think with kids these days, with all their singers and their idols and their TikTok, which is very popular here, I think the storytelling is becoming a different sort of trend. And I reckon it's going to be very, very powerful.
Yeah.
Totally. And music has this power of, this is a universal language. Circle Robinson, this great author on creativity, he was saying maybe the most important thing in the schools is music and dance. And actually they are options. But the way we can, yes, create things and express emotions, because with music we can yes, share emotions too. It's a super powerful one. Yeah, I think it's a super idea to use the combining perspective of music and storytelling, and how this can support also other aspects, disciplinary objectives with the projects.
I think one of the things that probably we can together explore is the multimodality, like how that what you call it, initiate creative problem solving in some sense, like how do you trigger the different levels of how you solve problems, or how you even identify problems using this multimodal sort of approach. And there's already a lot of literature on this, and I don't think it specifically addresses problem solving just yet. So perhaps this is one research gap that we can look at in the future.
Totally, and I think you have a journal, and this could be an invitation for colleagues also to address this aspect. I think there's a big aspect to develop there. Then I fully agree with you. Yeah.
You have a question, Margarida. There's one in the Q&A.
Okay.
Adelaide Wo is asking, could you perhaps suggest ways for educators to improve their skills in gamified teaching?
Yes, many thanks for this question. Then first thing is being curious. I think this is the most powerful strategy is being curious, participate in this kind of activities, such the gamification that you had today. But it's also about meeting persons that are doing things in this way. Then I'm a big fan of Vygotsky works, and other persons, more knowledgeable persons, or persons who have a prior experience, are this is gold. Sometimes you can spend a lot of time alone trying to find solutions or software, etc. If you take just some minutes with contacting even on Twitter or other aspects, or joining colleagues within a certain research team, etc., and ask some questions, you can really have good ideas on that. Then I will say contacting other persons who have experience on the field could be a super way, a way to want to be supported and to be understood in the way you address, and second, to skip all these time-consuming aspect that there's so many resources on internet and everywhere that sometimes you can spend a lot of time with things that are not matching. Persons starting to see, oh, there's hundreds of games for learning mathematics, but after reviewing a lot of things, they didn't found maybe as the perfect solution. Then don't hesitate, yes, to join also social networks in which the different colleagues working on game-based learning can also support you.
That's why I think the theme for this seminar this year, we purposely chose transdisciplinary because we thought, you want to say something about that?
Because everyone works with teachers, everyone works with students, but we all have our own fundamental. And then because of the on the ground sort of work, this is how we come out with transdisciplinary. And we also want to introduce all our speakers in different fields, now in different countries, where they can collaborate together. I think collaborate is a big word, but perhaps start off with making friends and then getting some ideas. I'm also learning from Prof Margarida. From her, I learned how to use Twitter, for one example.
Yes, this is the Twitter's community, and I will also say good morning to Sylvester Arnab, that is here and has inspired a lot the works we are doing on learning mechanics and game mechanics. And for sure, I think the aspect of communities, then where educators, parents, then also researchers find persons that are mind alike, because we share the objective of helping kids on being empowered towards technology and finding solutions that are meaningful for their communities. This is something very strong, and as in the Faculty of Education, and not just in game-based learning, but in general, what we found during the lockdown is that the teachers that were having the less, well, that was a difficult moment for everyone, but those who were having that were not thriving in this period, but still doing well, was the persons that were connected with others. That was not necessarily the more technical ones. That were persons writing to us saying, oh, you know, there's one thing to sharing files with everyone. There were persons that were just discovering that what is a cloud, but because they already had the human cloud, they were connected with other persons. Even if they were very far from technology, they have this very protective factor of being well connected with other humans. Then parents were helping discover cloud solutions, and these persons were doing well. There are other persons that were isolated, and in this moment of lockdown, that was really hard, because this is for humans, being isolated is the worst things we could have. Then I will say, if you can find persons that to work with, this is always something that is not only fantastic at the human level, but also very productive, because you save time when other persons can help you in the process.
Yes, that's true. That's true. Thank you so much again for your time to speak, at the Gaming Vision seminar this year. We really appreciate your presence here.